Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the First Unitarian Church. We're going to be talking a lot about the name in a little while. My name's Mary Rapoza, and thank you, Randy. That was a perfect, joyous way to start this service. Let's see. We are a beloved community of people who believe that everyone is worthy of respect. Science is real. The democratic process is a sacred thing, and that we are all part of an interconnected web, and that the light and energy we share and put out into the world makes a difference. We are a people of purpose, and if what you hear today resonates with you, we hope you'll consider becoming part of this community of seekers and keepers of the long dream that is our church. The First Unitarian Church in New Bedford recognizes that the land we inhabit and enjoy sits on the unceded ancestral land of the Wampanoag, people of the first light. We actively commit ourselves to the process of working to dismantle the legacy of colonialism and oppression of our country's native people and all folks who have been marginalized. Okay, some housekeeping. In your pews, you'll see a blue card. If you'd like to get on our mailing list, please sign up there and drop it in the box when the offertory comes around. We have a wonderful coffee hour after the service right through that door, and we hope you'll all join us. We are live streaming, so thank you to everyone who's watching online. And if you would kindly put your phones in worship mode, that would be terrific. So we're going to light our chalice. And I'm going to switch over here. Today we are sharing stories of our Universalist history, and most of the readings and music selections today come from that tradition. So I learned a lot about Universalism over the past couple of months, and I'm really excited to share that all with you. Sure. Whoops, is that better? Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, so let's do our opening hymn. Today is number 12 in the gray hymnal. Please stand and join us if you're willing and able. So good morning once again. This is a time when we greet our neighbors. So great to see you all here. Okay, so in your order of service is the unison reading of the covenant. We come together as a religious community upholding freedom of conscience, right relationship, and the inherent worth of all people. We value our diversity and pledge to work for one another in the spirit of compassion, to speak and listen to each other with respect, and to promote justice and kindness in the world. And now we have a story for all ages. Miss Yasmin's going to be telling us.
Good morning, everyone. Our theme with Soul Matters this month is paying attention. And I've been talking about a few women in the history of UUs, and today we're going to talk about Emily Stowe. Does anyone know who Emily Stowe is? So it's a good thing to talk about because she's really cool. Paying attention helps us see when things are unfair or unequal, and it gives us a chance to act with kindness and action. And knowing who we are, it's within us, that's the justice and the equality that we're, I think, striving for. Our value of equity here, we have 6 of them, and one of them is equity, and it says, it calls to us, covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities. I can get behind that. And ultimately, what I've realized in my career, it is truly the environment that really sets the stage. So this is the environment, and we are the actors, and we are going to be the ones to continue living that UU value. So it's International Women's Month, and Emily Stowe is amazing. We're in Canada now, and she says, I want to be a doctor. And of course, in Canada at that time, it's like, I'm sorry, women aren't allowed to be doctors. And matter of fact, we don't even want you to work. You should stay home and raise the children. And Emily's like, I don't think that's gonna happen. She meets a wonderful man, his name is John, they get married, they have some children, and she is just like, okay, fine, I'm gonna be a teacher. So she becomes a teacher, and I bet you she's like a really good teacher. Most teachers really are. And she's doing her thing, and she's just like, I have that in me. I want to be a doctor. And she hears about this woman in New York who is going through the same things. And she said, I'm going to open a school for people who want to become doctors, especially women. And so what does Emily Stowe do? She says, oh my God, family in Canada, I gotta leave you. I have to do this. I have to become a doctor. So she goes, she gets her medical degree. This is 1867 now. She has like 5 children. So can you imagine? Her husband dies from tuberculosis. She's got all the children. She's fighting to promote women's rights. She does what she needs to do. She comes back and she does community work, helping people deliver babies who didn't have enough income to pay. That's where the knitted blankets come in. That's why you always sort of get blankets when babies are born, or they would give her butter or chicken or something along those lines. And then she said that's not enough. Because when she went to the place in Canada, in her hometown, and said, I want to be a doctor, and he's like, believe me, it ain't ever gonna happen. And she said, believe me, I'm gonna make it my life's work. And that's exactly what she did. She went back there and she made it her life's work so other women can have that opportunity and become doctors. So Emily Stowe is like exactly the kind of role model we want our people and our communities to know about. So I'm going to sum it up with this. She noticed what was unfair. Instead of sitting with it, she acted upon it. And so when women in Canada couldn't do what she needed to do, she paid attention and she observed and she came up with a plan. And so how did that all come connected to UUism, and how is she a Unitarian? Because there's a woman named Elizabeth Blackwell who went to a Unitarian church in New York. And she heard about her and her sort of opportunities for others in the community. And when she said, those are my people, she found a Unitarian church, I think in Toronto, and said, you are right. These are the people who are going to help me move this issue forward. And again, get right back down to also promoting the right to vote for women. So Emily Stowe is one of our ancestors. She's one of the pillars and foundations for our beautiful communities that promote equity. So next time you go to the doctor and it's a woman or even a nurse practitioner or a man who's a nurse or whatever it is, just think, oh man, could you imagine getting squashed at a door if someone said, nah, you can't do that? I don't think that's gonna go down these days with this group of people and these children that we're leading, because this next generation is amazing. You will be happy to see them in the workforce. Go Emily Stowe.
Thank you, thank you. Maids, I say, be kind and true. May love be a guide in all I do. May kindness sing within my heart, and may peace be with us while we're apart. This is when we do candles of joys and concerns. So I'm going to go down there and light candles if anyone wants to come up and use the mic.
So I'm Judith, and I just want to light a candle of joy for the protests that took place yesterday. I went to 2 protests, one in Buttonwood Park, which was really well attended, and then we went downtown later in the day, and we had singing and drumming and speeches and songs and marching, and we were together and very proud and very hopeful. So it was a wonderful experience, and I hope all of you can join in some future marches and protests. It's really a good thing to do.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dave. I also wanted to give a candle of joy for the same thing, so let me instead give a candle of concern for all of those who are still living with the oppression that we are rallying against so beautifully yesterday.
My name is Deb, and my candle is for a possible future joy. We have a game night on the first Friday of every month, and the first Friday is coming up, and we have both more modern games and old-fashioned games. I prefer Scrabble myself, but who knows what we'll play. Come and join us. Anytime after 6 o'clock on Friday night.
And I will light 2 more candles, as is our custom, one for all the joys and concerns you hold in your heart, and one for everyone out there who's looking for a community like this to join. So I did a lot of research for this service, and I'm going to start with something from the Britannica online. Universalists felt a close kinship with Unitarians, since the two groups shared many views and practices, culminating in the formation of the Unitarian Universalist Association in 1961. Liberalism, freedom of individual interpretation, tolerance of diversity, agreement on methods of approaching theological and church issues, and belief in the inherent dignity of each person have been the strongest elements keeping this movement together. Universalists generally stress the use of reason and religion and modification of belief in light of the discoveries of science. So our meditation comes today from the influential Universalist preacher Hosea Ballou, whose legacy to us as Unitarian Universalists today is our awareness of a God-given right to be happy. Hosea Ballou made human happiness a mandate of the liberal faith. Ballou believed that a loving God would not condemn humanity to eternal damnation. He said, "Get rid of errant theology, and you will get rid of the clergy, politicians, and public figures who stoke fear in order to keep their own vested interests, personal greed, and moral corruption from public view." Our next reading is from John Murray, the Universalist minister who brought the message of Universalism here to this continent. Go out into the highways and byways. Give the people something of your new vision. You may possess a small light, but uncover it, let it shine. Use it in order to bring more light and more understanding to the hearts and minds of men and women. Give them not hell, but hope and courage. Preach the kindness and everlasting love of God. Our next hymn is number 212. We are dancing Sarah's Circle. If you'd like to stand and join us. This is the time when we request your kind offerings for the good works of this church. On May 17th, the members of this church will meet to vote on changes to the bylaws. One of the changes that's being proposed is to add Universalist to our church name. Our legal name would remain First Unitarian Church of New Bedford. And we could call ourselves the First Unitarian Universalist Church of New Bedford, or we could use NBUU. We'll have to decide that at another time, but this name change will honor and respect our Universalist history and ancestors. And this name change would be how we would identify ourselves in the community. This morning, I'm going to tell you why I think adopting this name change is important. New Bedford has a storied Unitarian history and well documented. Their philanthropy and progressive community actions were instrumental in shaping our city's history, present, and future. Our Universalist history in New Bedford is also noteworthy, although much more difficult to find written records of. This morning, I'm going to share a few stories from our Universalist tradition. So I am not an expert on Universalism, so I've been doing a lot of research. So let's start with Britannica again and their entry on Universalism. Universalism is the belief in the salvation of all souls. Although Universalism appeared at various times in Christian history, most notably in the 3rd century, as an organized movement, it has its beginnings in the United States in the middle of the 18th century. The Universalists believed it was impossible for a loving God to elect only a portion of humankind to salvation and doom the rest to eternal punishment. John Murray moved from England to colonial America in 1770. He preached throughout the colonies, often with much opposition from Orthodox Christians who believed Universalism would lead to immorality. Hosea Ballou rejected Calvinist tenets and instead put stress on the use of reason and religion. Universalists felt a close kinship with Unitarians, and the two groups shared many views and practices, culminating in the formation of the Unitarian Universalist Association. In Unitarian Universalism, a narrative history by David Bombauer, which is right here, and is available in the church office and was actually a very good read. I learned that Universalists had a long history of being labeled heretics and outsiders. When John Murray, who had just served a prison term in London for preaching the message of universal salvation, when he came to the States, he found fertile ground in Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Massachusetts for his message. The first established Universalist church was in Gloucester, Mass. Universalism spread west with the help of the ordination of women ministers, including Olympia Brown, who was the first ordained women minister in the United States in 1863. Universalism was mainly a rural and working class church with their membership with lower education and economic resources. Universalists included Clara Barton, Dr. Benjamin Rush, who signed the Declaration of Independence, Samuel Longfellow, P.T. Barnum, and Sumner Henry Needham, who was the first Union casualty in the Civil War. The church's focus was on abolitionism, prison reform, and equal rights, including economic rights. The first national women's organization and the first national denominational youth organization were both Universalist. Universalists founded Tufts University, St. Lawrence University, Akron University, Lombard College, and Caltech. All of these schools accepted women's students right from the start, except Tufts. Hosea Ballou preached his liberal faith to everyday people, men and women of the laboring classes. He was a self-educated man from rural New Hampshire and Massachusetts who was spurned by the Boston Unitarian elite. But in no small part, thanks to Ballou, by the end of the 19th century, 1 of every 8 Americans called themselves a Universalist. Skinner, a contemporary of Ballou, was influential through his influence on social issues and reinterpreting universalism as all that unites us as humans. In 1935, the Universalists adopted and affirmed religious humanism and emphasized drawing religious sustenance from the tradition of the world's great religions. Reverend Dan Harper, who served this church from 2005 to 2009, has this to say in his Itinerants to Freethinkers, Universalist Preaching in New Bedford. Quote, during the 1820s and beyond, itinerant Universalist ministers visited New Bedford. Reverend Hosea Ballou, the greatest of the early Universalist theologians and preachers, came to New Bedford in 1825. That's the end of the quote. The first settled Universalist preacher in New Bedford was Reverend John Murray Spear, who preached abolitionism with his Universalism. The congregation was one of the few in Massachusetts of any denomination to unequivocally declare their support for abolition. Nathan Johnson, a prominent African-American citizen of New Bedford and conductor of the Underground Railroad, you can visit his home, it's right on 7th Street, became a Universalist in New Bedford. In 1841, the Universalists built a church on School Street. It's now the parking lot for the Pilgrim United Church. And they also had a congregation right down the street here at what's now Gallery X. In 1961, the Unitarian Universalist Association was created, and Steve Carmel sang in the youth choir at that event. Many, if not most congregations at that time, changed their name to reflect our new shared history and ancestors. And I think it's time for our church to do the same. I believe that we should be celebrating and acknowledging our Universalist past. And I believe that our community, not just here, but the greater community, will embrace our Universalist past as well. On May 17th, we're going to meet to vote on the changes to the bylaws. Anyone here, if you want to discuss this further, I found out some other cool stuff too. I'm happy to share that at coffee hour. But I hope that you'll support me in adopting this name change that will celebrate all of our shared history and all of our shared ancestors. Our closing hymn today is number 345. And our closing words come from Reverend Kenneth Patton. Ours by the poems of all tongues, all things of loveliness and worth, all arts, all ages, and all songs, one life, one beauty on one earth. Thank you, and I hope you'll join us for a coffee hour.